Hola! In this video, we will go over how to answer questions in complete sentences in Spanish. But first, we will go over and review verbs in English and how to identify them. Then, we will go over subjects in English, followed by a review of some of the Spanish AR verbs you have already seen in our current lesson. And finally, we will go over how to answer questions in complete sentences in Spanish. First, identifying verbs in English. English verbs. Recall that verbs are the main and most important part of a sentence, as a verb expresses an action or state of being. Let's look at some example sentences where we will identify the verb in the sentence, the action word expressed in the sentence. Example 1. I watch Netflix on the weekend. Notice how the verb, the action word, in this sentence is watch. Example 2. We sing karaoke at the cafe a lot. The verb, the action word, is sing. 3. She only listens to Spanish music. Here, the verb, the action, is listens. 4. He visits his family on Sunday. The verb, the action word here, is visits. 5. They always arrive to class on time. The action word, the verb here, is arrive. Example 6. My friend always finishes his homework early. The action word, the verb, is finishes. 7. The class buys their books online. Here, the verb, the action word, is buys. 8. You work a lot of hours at the bookstore. Here, the verb, the action word, is work. You have probably noticed that in the examples we have seen so far, the verb in a sentence can usually be found somewhere in the beginning or towards the middle of the sentence. However, this is not always the case. Let's take a look at example 9. 9. After class, where do you study? Notice that in this example we have a question, and here the verb, the action word study, can also be found at the end or toward the end of a question. Example 10. Whom do you normally talk to on the phone? Here the action word, the verb, is talk. Now that we have gone over some examples, it's a good time for you to practice identifying the verb in the following sentences. Take a moment to identify the verb in each of the following sentences. 1. We always answer all the questions on exams. What is the action word, the verb, in this sentence? If you chose the word answer, you're correct. 2. The professor explains the lesson well. Identify the verb in this sentence. If you chose explains, you are correct. That is the action word in this sentence. 3. They drink coffee every morning. Identify the verb. If you chose drink, you are correct. That is the action word in the sentence. 4. I return home late on the weekends. What is the action in this sentence? If you chose the word return, you are correct. 5. Do you always arrive to work on time? What is the verb in this example question? If you chose the word arrive, you are correct, as this is the action word in this sample question. Now that we have gone over and have a good grasp on identifying verbs in English, we will now take a look at how to identify the subject in sentences in English. For purposes of this course, the subject of a sentence can be seen as a person or thing that does the action of the verb. That is, who is the person or what is the thing doing the action of the verb? Let's see some examples. First, you want, just as we did before, to identify the action word, the verb in the sentence. And after identifying the verb, you can then see and identify who is doing the action. Who is the subject? Let's practice. 1. She watches movies on the weekend. Here, the subject is she, as the subject she is doing the action of the verb. She is the one watching. 2. I always sing karaoke at the cafe. The subject in this sentence is I, as I am the one who is singing. 3. They only listen to music on Pandora. The subject in this sentence is they, as they are the ones doing the listening. You probably noticed that in these first three examples, the subject was at the beginning of each sentence. This is not always the case, however. Let's see some examples where the subject of a sentence is not at the very beginning of a sentence. 4. Whom does he practice tennis with? This example is a question, and notice that here the subject is he, as the subject he is the one doing the action of practicing. 5. Do you usually arrive to work on time? Here, in this example question, the subject is you, as the subject you is doing the action of arriving. 6. My classmates usually finish their homework on time. Here, the subject is classmates, not the word my, as the classmates are the ones doing the action of finishing. 7. The students in class buy their books online. The subject in this example is students, as the students are the ones doing the action of buying. 8. Does he normally work on the weekends? The subject in this example is he, as the subject he is a person working. 9. After class, where does she study? The subject in this example question is she, as the subject she is the one doing the action of studying. 10. Whom do you normally talk to on the phone? The subject in this example question is you, as the subject you is the person doing the action of talking. Practice. Identify the subject. Now that we have gone over some examples on how to find the subject in a sentence, now is a good time for you to practice identifying the subject in the following sample sentences. 1. In the summer, I usually travel to Puerto Rico. What is the subject in this example? If you chose the word I as the subject of the sentence, you are correct, as the subject I is the person doing the action of traveling. What is the subject in the following sentence? 2. Andrew usually waits for me after class. If you chose the word Andrew as a subject, you are correct, as the subject Andrew is the one doing the action of waiting. Identify the subject in the following sentence. On the weekends, we normally dance all night. If you choose the word we as the subject, then you are correct, as the word we are the people doing the action of dancing. What is the subject in the following sample question? 4. How much does she walk every day? If you chose the word she as a subject, then you are correct, as the word she is the one doing the action of walking. Identify the subject in the sample question. 5. Do you normally draw in your free time? If you chose the word you as a subject, then you are correct, as in this example, you is the person doing the action of drawing. We have now gone over identifying the verb, the action word in a sentence, and the subject in a sentence, the person that does the action in the sentence. Let's now review some of the Spanish AR verbs that we have seen in our current lesson before practicing answering questions in Spanish. 3. A quick review of Spanish AR verbs. Ejemplos de los verbos en español. Tomar. Tomar café en clase. Tomar. Comprar. Comprar libros en la librería. Comprar. Dibujar. Dibujar en la clase de arte. Dibujar. Desayunar. Desayunar en la cafetería. Desayunar. Escuchar. Escuchar música en el campus. Escuchar. Trabajar. Trabajar en la computadora. Trabajar. Caminar. Caminar a clase. Caminar. Buscar. Buscar un libro en la biblioteca. Buscar. Estudiar. Estudiar en la biblioteca. Estudiar. Hablar. Hablar en español en clase. Hablar. Bailar. Bailar en una fiesta. Bailar. Cantar. Cantar en el auditorio. Cantar. As you probably noticed, all the example verbs we just went over in Spanish end in AR, hence why they are called Spanish AR verbs. Let's recap what you learned so far in class about how to conjugate, how to change the endings of these AR verbs in Spanish. Let's take a look at the verb estudiar. Every subject, I, you, he, she, we, and they, has a different verb ending associated to it, as seen below highlighted in red. Recall that you can conjugate AR verbs easily through 3 different steps. Step 1, you start off with the Spanish verb you want to conjugate, like estudiar. Step 2, you take off the AR ending of the verb. The verb estudiar then goes to estudi. And step 3, you add the appropriate ending of the verb. The verb ending that is associated to the subject you are talking about. So for the subject yo, the ending of the verb would be o. For the subject tú, the ending would be as. For the subject he or she, the subject ending would be a, and so forth. Similarly, you would follow these same 3 steps for the verb caminar. Start with the verb caminar. Take off the AR ending and add the appropriate verb ending according to the subject you are referring to. Similarly, with the verb hablar, you take off the AR ending and add the appropriate verb ending according to the subject you are referring to. Great. Now that you have gone over and are able to identify the verb in a sentence, that is, the action word in a sentence, as well as identify the subject, the person doing the action of the verb in a sentence, and after reviewing how to conjugate verbs in Spanish, we can go over section 4, answering questions in complete sentences in Spanish. For some students, answering questions in complete sentences in Spanish can seem overwhelming. However, there are 5 easy steps that you can follow that can help make answering questions in Spanish much easier. First, step 1. Identify the verb in the sentence. Once you have done that, in step 2, you underline the verb ending. Who is it referring to? Who or what is the subject? Who's doing the action of the verb? In step 3, you use the verb to help you answer the question. Step 4, you change the verb ending accordingly, according to who the subject is. And step 5, you answer the question and use the rest of the question to answer in a complete sentence in Spanish. Let's see some examples. Example 1. ¿Estudias en la biblioteca normalmente? Let's follow all 5 steps to make sure we are able to answer this question in a complete sentence in Spanish. Step 1. Identify the verb in the sentence. In this case, the verb, the action word, is estudias. You can always circle the verb to help you follow along throughout the upcoming steps. And now, step 2, underline the verb ending. In this case, the ending is as. And now that you have underlined it, you can answer who is the ending as referring to. Who is the subject? The subject here then is tú, you. Now, in step 3, you can use the verb in the question to help you answer the question. Bring down or rewrite the verb from the question. Estudias. Write it in your answer. Now in step 4, you can change the verb ending accordingly from having you in the question with the verb ending as to the verb ending for yo, o. And now that you have the most important part of your answer down, your verb with the appropriate ending, you can now go to step 5, making sure that you answer the question. If it requires you to answer with a yes or no, such as this example does, then answer the question with sí or no. And then use the rest of the information in the question to help you write your answer in a complete sentence. In other words, rewrite the question. Bring down or rewrite the rest of the information in the question. And now you have an answer in a complete sentence in Spanish. Sí, estudio en la biblioteca normalmente. Let's look at some more examples to make sure that you have all the steps down. Example 2. ¿Dónde comprar los libros para las clases? Let's follow all 5 steps to answer this question. Step 1. Identify the verb in a sentence. In this case, the verb, the action word, is compras. Circle the verb to help you follow along. And now, step 2, underline the verb ending. In this case, the ending is as. Now that you have underlined it, you can answer who is the ending as referring to? Who is the subject? The subject here is tú, you. In step 3, you can use the verb in the question to help you answer the question. Bring down or rewrite the verb from the question, compras. Now, in step 4, you can change the verb ending accordingly from having you in the question with the verb ending as to the verb ending for yo, o, in the answer. And now that you have the most important part of the answer down, your verb with the appropriate ending, you can now go to step 5, making sure that you answer the question. This question asked, ¿Dónde? So you need to answer with a location. Once you have answered that part, you can now use the rest of the information in the question to help you write your answer in a complete sentence. Bring down or rewrite the rest of the information in the question. And now you have an answer in a complete sentence in Spanish. Compro los libros para las clases en la librería. Let's see example 3. El profesor enseña bien las lecciones de clase. Let's follow all 5 steps to make sure we're able to answer the question in a complete sentence. Step 1. Identify the verb in a sentence. In this case, the verb, the action word, is enseña. Now circle the verb to help you follow along. In step 2, underline the verb ending. In this case, the ending is a. Now that you have underlined it, you can answer who is the ending a referring to. Who is the subject? The subject here then is el profesor, él, he. And in step 3, you use the verb in the question to help you answer the question. Bring down and rewrite the verb from the question, enseña. In step 4, you can change the verb ending accordingly. Here, the question is asking about how he teaches, el profesor, with the verb ending a. The answer will also have the a verb ending as well, as you'll be answering with he teaches, enseña. Once again, now that you have the most important part of your answer down, your verb with the appropriate ending, you can now go to step 5, making sure that you answer the question. If it requires you to answer with a yes or no, such as this example, then answer the question with sí or no, and then use the rest of the information in the question to help you write your answer in a complete sentence. Bring down or rewrite the rest of the information from the question. And now you have an answer in a complete sentence in Spanish. Sí, el profesor enseña bien las lecciones de clase. Now, example 4. ¿A qué hora llegan a clase los estudiantes? Once again, let's follow all 5 steps to answer this question. Step 1. Identify the verb in a sentence. In this case, the verb, the action word, is llegan. Now circle the verb to help you follow along. In step 2, underline the verb ending. In this case, the ending is an. Once you've underlined it, you can answer who is the ending an referring to. Who is the subject? The subject here then is los estudiantes, ellos. In step 3, you can use the verb in the question to help you answer the question. Bring down or rewrite the verb from the question, llegan. In step 4, change the verb ending accordingly. Here, the question is asking about the students. With the verb ending an, the answer will also have the an verb ending as well, as you'll be answering with they, the students, llegan. Once again, now that you have the most important part of your answer down, your verb with the appropriate ending, you can now go to step 5, making sure that you answer the question. In this example, it's asking a qué hora, so it requires you to answer giving a certain time. So you need to give a time here. Then use the rest of the information in the question to help you write your answer in a complete sentence. Bring down or rewrite the rest of the information from the question. And now you have an answer in a complete sentence in Spanish. Los estudiantes llegan a clase a las 10 de la mañana. Example 5. ¿Tus amigos bailan mucho en las fiestas? Once again, let's follow all 5 steps. Step 1. Identify the verb in the sentence. In this case, the verb, the action word is bailan. Don't forget to circle the verb to help you follow along. Step 2. Underline the verb ending. In this case, the ending is an. And now that you have underlined it, you can answer who is the ending an referring to? Who is the subject? The subject here then is amigos, ellos. In step 3, use the verb in the question to help you answer the question. Bring down or rewrite the verb from the question, bailan. In step 4, change the verb ending accordingly. Here the question is asking about how los amigos, with the verb ending an, so the answer will also have the an verb ending as well, as you'll be answering with de, los amigos, bailan. Now that you have the most important part of your answer, your verb with the appropriate ending, you can now go to step 5, making sure that you answer the question. It requires you to answer with a yes or no in this example. So you will answer sí or no. Once you have answered that part, use the rest of the information in the question to help you rewrite your answer in a complete sentence. Bring down or rewrite the rest of the information from the question. And now you have an answer in a complete sentence in Spanish. Ellos no bailan mucho en las fiestas. Example 6. ¿Cuántas clases tomas este semestre? Let's follow all 5 steps. Step 1. Identify the verb in the sentence. In this case, the verb, the action word is tomas. Circle the verb to help you follow along. Step 2. Underline the verb ending. In this case, the ending is as. Now that you have underlined it, you can answer who is the ending as referring to. Who is the subject? The subject here then is tú. In step 3, you can use the verb in the question to help you answer the question. Bring down or rewrite the verb from the question, tomas. Step 4. Change the verb ending accordingly. From having you in the question with the verb ending as to the verb ending for yo, o, in the answer. And now that you have the most important part of your answer down, your verb with the appropriate ending, the correct verb conjugation, you can now go to step 5, making sure that you answer the question. This question asks cuántas, so you need to answer with a number. Once you have answered that part, you can now use the rest of the information in the question to help you write your answer in a complete sentence. Bring down or rewrite the rest of the information from the question. And now you have an answer in a complete sentence in Spanish. Tomo 3 clases este semestre. Now that we have gone over some examples together, it's time for some practice. It's time for you to answer the following questions in complete sentences in Spanish. Make sure to use the 5 steps we just went over. Ready? Try it on your own. Question 1. ¿Miras mucha televisión en casa? Great. After following these steps, your answer should look like this. No, sí, miro mucha televisión en casa. Question 2. ¿Qué clases tomas este semestre? After following these steps, your answer should look like this. Tomo la clase de español este semestre. Question 3. ¿Dónde desayunan los estudiantes en la universidad? After following these steps, your answer should look like this. Los estudiantes desayunan en la cafetería de la universidad. Question 4. ¿Hablas en español con los compañeros de clase? After following the steps, your answer should look like this. Sí, hablo en español con los compañeros de clase. Question 5. Normalmente, ¿qué tipo de música escuchas? After following the steps, your answer should look something like this. Normalmente, escucho música en español. Question 6. ¿Siempre terminan la tarea a tiempo los estudiantes? After following these steps, your answer should look something like this. Sí, los estudiantes siempre terminan la tarea a tiempo. Or a variation of that would be fine. After this review and this practice, You should now be ready to answer questions in complete sentences in Spanish in your upcoming exam. Buena suerte!